Hi everyone, Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Today is the 5th of January, and I thought I would do some card readings. It's been a while since I've pulled the cards out. I've wanted to do a reading on the assassination of the Iranian General Soleimani. I think that's his name. Kassar, or anyway, I'm sorry I'm butchering that name. I've personally been very upset by the whole thing, so it's hard for me to read cards when the emotions are so high. So, and I have many reasons, I guess, for my emotions to be high, but let's see if I can do a reading from a more detached place. We'll see. Let's see how that goes. I'm not feeling particularly detached these days, which may not work in my favor. So, all right, I'm almost done here. So, what was this all about? What was this attack really about for Trump? Considering he's the one who called it, we'll ask that question first. What was the real reason for this attack? Okay, just cutting the cards now. The real reason for the attack on the Iranian general. Okay, we have the Princess of Swords here. So, this is the Page of Swords. I almost want to feel it was somebody whispering in his ear. I want to say that this was, he was sort of given this idea, and the Princess or the Page of Swords, and in this deck you can kind of really sort of see that the sword is very big, and the princess is having a little trouble wielding it. And so it's a sense of not being all that adept at wielding the sword. Swords always deal also with your ability to make decisions, your ability to use your mental capacities to sort of do the pros and cons and stuff like that. And as a princess or a page, you don't really have the what's the word I'm looking for? You don't have the experience to make good decisions. Okay, let's see what's crossing that. Okay, we have the Empress card here. Crossing by the Empress. My first thought, I'll go with my first thought, because I have, some ideas in my head, and what I'm trying not to do is make the card fit into what I'm thinking, right? But it's coming up. To me, the Empress is the divine feminine. It's this energy of love and compassion. It's this energy of our capacity to be empathetic and to love and to nurture and to care for one another. And I feel like one of the things that Trump's presidency has done is it's in a way reminded us that all of that is necessary, because it's so starkly the other way. Okay, so I feel as though his challenge is people's compassion towards others, interestingly enough. Okay, let's see what's at the root. Okay, and we have the Moon at the root. And so as a card at the root of the situation, this is somebody who is having severe mood swings. So I think this was, it came from an emotional place. It came from a place of feeling like he was beset. perhaps a little bit of lunacy, a little bit of craziness. This was not a mental this was not a decision made through his mental capacity. This was made through his emotional capacities, and I think he was not in a very good place. There's also a hidden quality here. So there are things that are hidden from us um, about this whole situation that I think has precipitated it. Let's see what's in the past. Okay, and we have the Six of Wands. He gets this card a lot, and the Six of Wands is victory. And of course he won in the, well, he's president. I guess he won because he's president. You don't have to play fair, I guess. But so this is his, looking back at the past at his victories. Looking back at the past at his victories. And he's actually very past oriented, making America great again. As soon as he won the presidency, the next step he talked about was when he won the presidency. So he's really very focused on the past. It's a real driving factor for him. And in his chart, he has the moon conjunct his south node in Sagittarius, and so that's very true. He's sort of driven; his emotions are driven through his experiences in the past. Let's see what's in the sky. Okay, we have the Hanged Man, and so this is a sense of sort of being in limbo. So while I think this came from a place of wanting to create sort of forward motion, for him, I think it's doing the opposite. And I also, this card up at this is the sky position. This is the card right at top. I always see it as spirit, like, giving us advice, or, telling us, look at this, and this is a possible. This is a possible. This is possible. It's not, uh, it's a possibility, right? It's not, we don't know if that this is the case, but when I see it as a message from spirit, spirit says to look at this from a different perspective. Look at this from a different perspective. Okay. So whatever perspective you're seeing this whole thing from, um, turn it on its head and look again. And also connect to spirit. Spirit wants you to connect, because nothing that happens, this has happened, and now we have to sort of move forward from this point. And I think that um, you have to connect with your co-creative potential. There is a path that this could go down, and it could end in a way, and there could be this sense of predetermination that it's just going to be another war, and more of the same. But that's not necessarily true. It doesn't have to be more of the same. We have the ability through our consciousness to interact with spirit and actually influence, right? Influence the future through our work within the present moment. And I think that's what that card is reminding us of. Okay, let's see the immediate future for this decision. Okay, so this says to me, this is the Seven of Swords. This says to me that they're going to come up with some sort of story. I don't. This wasn't well thought out. Now they're doing what we call damage control. They're doing damage control, and which is, pretty much been what the Trump presidency has been. The military is really going through its paces, isn't it? They're getting all this money, but they're being put through their paces. Okay, let's see how this is seen from the outside. So this is how it's seen from the outside, and we have the the Five of Cups, and so we see a lot of sorrow, a lot of suffering. This is going to create a lot of suffering. This is going to create a lot of a sense of loss, and probably loss just in general. So most people see this as something that's just going to create more anguish. Let's see the domestic situation. Okay, we have the Princess of Pentacles here. So this is the domestic situation for the question was why, what was behind it. I'm going to leave that. It does have something to do with money, of course. It's Trump, it would, right? All right, let's see the hopes and fears. Okay, the Seven of Wands. He wants to be seen as a hero. That's what this card's about. That's his hope. That was his hope. Let's see the outcome. Okay, and we get the Fool card. So, okay, let me see what's underneath the deck. The Four of Wands. Oops, I almost dropped all the cards. The Four of Wands. All right. Okay, so this was not well thought out. This came from an emotional place. I feel like somebody else had something to do with it. Sort of whispering in his ear, this is a good idea. I have my theories about who that might be. But let's see. Let's see who is whispering in his ear. I'm going to use the fountain deck to perhaps give me some elucidation. So I'm trying to elucidate who whispered in his ear. That was the impression that I got from the first card, the Princess or the Page of Swords. Oops. Okay. Okay, we have the Four of Wands. Okay. The Four of Wands is this card that was underneath the deck. So underneath it all, it's more than, this is a group of people. This is a foursome who is getting into his head or talking to him. All right, let's see. Let's see if we can get. So there's more than there's four people here. I think he would be considered one of those people, considering he made the decision. Let's see who else is involved here. Who else is involved in this decision besides Trump? Who are the other people involved? I'm getting Kushner, Devil. So these people are not in the light, which is easy enough to say. Not that this guy was um, an angel, the guy who was killed, but he did keep ISIS out of Iran, and for that he's seen as a hero. And you would think that we'd want to keep ISIS out of all countries, but the Saudis back ISIS and Al Qaeda and the Taliban. It's the Saudis. And this card always kind of connects me to the Saudis because they have all the money, right? They have all the money. So so we have this. So I think it's the Saudis, probably BMS or whatever his name is. BSM, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, that guy. The guy who had Khashoggi killed. Who else is involved in this? Who else is involved in this? So I have the Saudis, Kushner, Two of Wands, Eight of Coins. So I feel like this has been a plan all along. Of course, they have been planning putting the pressure on Iran because they moved out of the Iran nuclear deal. I think what they're doing is they're doing all these things to force Iran's hand so that so that they go for nuclear weapons. And when they do that, then they'll say, well, they're going for nuclear weapons, so we have no choice but to go after them. the Knight of Cups. So this is my feeling. I feel that this is a combination decision between Trump. I think Kushner had something to do with it, and Kushner is influenced by his godfather Netanyahu, who's in a lot of political trouble right now. So Netanyahu's in a lot of political trouble, and then we have the Saudis. So to me, it's Trump, Kushner, the Saudis, and Netanyahu. That's what it feels like to me. Okay. So let's see. What do I want to ask? What's the next thing I want to ask? Let's see if what will be the consequences. Let's look at the consequences here. Oops, sorry. What will be the consequences for America? What are the consequences for America? I think I'll just do maybe 5 cards on this. And then we'll look at the consequences to Iran, and then we'll look at the consequences to the world in general. Oh dear. Okay. I'm just going to pull from the center of the deck. Consequences to America. Anxiety. Well, that's always nice, right? Just what we need, a little more anxiety. Fucking little Lord Fauntleroy himself. You know what this says to me? Some of us are going to be like really upset and anxious about the whole thing and imagining the worst. And other of us is going to be like, hey, we got that guy. We're so good. We're so wonderful. You know who I'm talking about, right? Okay. The Two of Cups. Well, that's good. That's the need to come together, the need to communicate. The Princess of Pentacles. There she is again. I'm going to leave her. And the Four of Pentacles. I feel like this is a tighter rein on the money, on the resources at the top. I feel like there's going to be more of a hanging on of resources at the top, which is not that different. Okay, how is this going to affect Iran? Okay, we have the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is an energy of a king who loves his people. So there's a sense of a nurturing king, or somebody. This could be. Oh, I know what this is. All right. The general that was killed was a Pisces, and so he of course is going to become a martyr, which is like the greatest thing you can do in the Islam, in the world of Islam, right? It's become a martyr. So we helped the cause there, didn't we? Okay, we have justice. So there's going to be a balancing of the scales there. So I think there will be a balancing from them to us or towards us. So hope. So somehow it's gonna bring up hope and an aspiration for Iran. Strength. It's gonna bring up their resolve. And the Prince of Cups. So in a strange sort of way, it's boosting Iran. And it's unifying Iran, and it's separating us. Great. Let's see at consequences in the world, in the larger world. Okay, so we have the Two of Pentacles. So it's going to create some issues in money and currency, probably in oil. Three of Wands. It's going to it's going to cause countries to come together, a sort of like in a way, a new sort of setup on how they interact with each other. There's going to be a, I almost feel like, with as an example with Brexit, right? Um, Sort of England is taking themselves out of the game with that, right? They're breaking off. They don't want to be part. They want to be their own country. They want to isolate. I feel like that's also happening in this country. That there's this sense of isolation. We're going to isolate, and so the other countries in the world are going to start making pacts and agreements without our influence, or without considering us. Um, Okay, the seven of Pentacles. So generally the Seven of Pentacles is more work needs to be done. So it's not like it's going to be a boom for the rest of the world. It's not. There's going to be a lack. There's going to be a lack, but I think the lack comes from a sort of a temporary sense until things like really start to roll. The Four of Cups. Let's wait on that and see. The Four of Cups is like a divine discontent. And the Nine of Pentacles. It's interesting. In this deck, the Pentacles are all, I think, Chinese. I think these are all Chinese symbols. I don't think they're Japanese. But I almost want to say China's going to take the lead when it comes to the financial stuff. Now, it's very interesting because China is a socialist, communist country, right? It's a socialist country. Um, so this is what I see. I see this as something that's going to split the Americans. It's going to unite the Iranians. They're going to feel like there's some sort of that. It's almost as if we're the villains in this, and they're the put upon that are rising up to press against the oppressors. And the rest of the world is just going to like start excluding us from stuff. So that's what it looks like. That's what this is actually done, or it looks like what it's going to be doing. I do feel like that this is, in a way, the last gasp of, there's a really dark energy. Um, I think in the Middle East, and this is how I see it, and I'm no expert about the Middle East and the politics, and I know this, people have to live there, and I'm glad I don't have to live there. I'm sure it's a lovely place and very sort of holy, but there's very much a black and white energy there, like a real extreme. There's such an extreme there, um, and an extreme of duality. I feel like there are many people there who are uh, sort of working for the light. Then there's all these dark forces, and um, I think Netanyahu. I feel like there's like some sort of like mob connection there, and maybe the Russian mob and Netanyahu's, his, that these the super oppressors there, um, and then of course the Saudis, and there's this real sort of oppression of the feminine. It's like, and what's interesting is that like Iraq, that area was, when the goddess was supreme, that was the area where the goddess was most powerful. And on some level, that for whatever it is in that area, whatever energy is in that area, um, it is, I don't know how to explain it. It just it's I feel like the light has gone deep underground there. Um, and so the people there are that feminine light. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not really sure I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that, but this is just impressions that I have. Um, so good job, Trump. All right, guys. I hope you find that hopeful. I don't know if you will. This is the first time I've been able to do the cards where I feel like I got something useful out of it, or that I had something useful to share with you. Let's put it that way. Whether I get out of it or not is almost immaterial. But this is the first time it's flowed for me. Every other time I felt too emotionally like something would come up and I'd have to stop. So I have to respect that. Um, and there's a lesson in that. I think that there's a lesson in that for me, and there's a lesson perhaps in that for all of us, is that uh, this is not a time to forge ahead necessarily when you're feeling off balance. And we're going to feel off balance a lot of the time this year because of the energy of this year. So there will be things that knock us off our balance, and we need to step back from that and try to readjust ourselves, readjust our feet, readjust our sense of balance, and then look into the solutions. This is not a time to be reactive. This is a time to be responsive. And that's, I think, what I've tried to do with this reading personally for me, because up to this point, I've been very reactive. And as some of you may know, I did do a reactive video about Tulsi and Hillary, and I got a lot of reaction back. And so, you what you give out, you get back. And so I apologize for these readings coming out a little later, but I have to do it when I can do it. And when I feel like I'm in the place and the good place to do it, because I want you to get the best information you can get. And I have enough stress in my life. I don't I don't need extra. All right, guys. Thank you for all your well wishes. I'm feeling much better. You can probably feel it in my voice. I just have a little bit of an occasional tickle and a cough, but uh, take care of yourself, guys. Really, the energy is just so intense, and you're gonna have to rest more. You're just gonna have to do it. Whether it's a year of a lot of hard work, but it's also when you're not working hard, you have to be resting. It's like that's it. So take care. I'll see you again soon. I may do another reading. I'm starting to feel a little better about things. So take it easy. I'll see you soon. Bye.